These my Dallas make it hurt.
Welcome back to the Deep Cover Podcast. I am your host, Kerry Stevenson. Like I always say, shout out to my boys, my brothers, Mike Crawford, Chris Aguilera. Special lineup building edition of the pod. I told you I was going to bring these to you guys. Was off the grid a little last week, wasn't able to do it, but I'm going to keep it rolling from here on out. Those who've been following me for a while, you're familiar with my DK lineup article. Been doing it the last few years. I've been doing it, in article form. But this year I decided to do it in podcast form and, kind of sit with you guys and kind of walk you through my process. Now, these lineups are designed to be put into large field tournaments, Millie Maker style tournaments. We're going to try to take some risks here and there with them. So I'm just going to walk you through my process as I, build lineups. So I'm going to use, as you can see on the screen here, this Awesomeo lineup builder tool. It's a tool I started using for NBA DFS. Really liked the functionality of it, so I just decided to kind of, try it out for NFL season. So, pretty much the same kind of setup. I've got it all here. Week two DraftKings main slate, which is those 13 games. That's the tournament we want to play in is that main slate tournament. And we're gonna go ahead and get started and try to put this thing together. So really, the first thing I wanted to do, the first thing I always do when I'm trying to kind of envision my lineup, when I'm sitting home Sunday evenings, games winding down, trying to look ahead to the following week. I'm trying to figure out how I can get different. And of course, like when I looked at the games, that Dallas, the Cowboys Chargers, I'm sorry, game sticks out as a game that's going to be popular. A lot of people are going to play Justin Herbert, uh, Dak Prescott. Obviously, what Kyler did last week, a lot of people are going to play Kyler. A lot of people are going to gravitate to that Seattle Tennessee game, I think. It was a little more difficult. To try to get different. And then when I'm thinking about trying to get different, um, well, not necessarily when I'm thinking of trying to get different, I think my mind kind of goes first to what game do I want to invest in, what game do I want to stack in, specifically with the quarterbacks and receivers and running backs and that kind of thing. So in this situation, I wanted to kind of get off of the beaten path a little bit with the quarterback selection and kind of go from there. So this week, taking a little bit of a risk, but I'm going with Tua here. The last time they faced the Bills was the finale of last season, and Tua ended up having 58 pass attempts. Um, I think this is a game that's gonna shoot out. It's a game that I'll probably be getting on the other side of a lot. I like Josh Allen to play that bounce back, in this week, but a lot of people are going to play Josh Allen, I'm sure. So trying to get a little different here. So I'm going to start this off with Tua. Like I said, I think this is going to be a shootout. Um, Again, 58 attempts the last time they played. I think with the way this offensive line is built, and it's not a offensive line that's going to impose their will in the running game, and they're probably going to make life difficult on Tua again this week as far as being able to protect them sometimes. Um, I think that's going to push him towards 6 to 8 rushing attempts off of just scrambles and just having to be an extension of the running game because again they're not going to impose their will on teams running the ball. So I like those things, and I like the fact that I can invest in this game, and it kind of automatically gets me into a different kind of build, and also allows me to kind of be able to play some more popular plays off of this. Going with Tua first, and then obviously, like with any quarterback we're going to play, I'm going to stack it. And of course, I'm going directly to their first round pick, Jalen Waddle. So go ahead and plug him in at receiver here. Like that price. He looked really good last week. We talked about it a little bit on the group pod on the fantasy episode. Uh, juice, just juice all day with that guy. But he's a guy I think can get it done at all three levels. I think he's a sneaky catch point guy, even though he doesn't, project as that. He's an explosive athlete. I think he can go up and get the ball. And no Will Fuller in this game. I think you're going to see another 22% kind of target share game for him. So I like getting Waddle in there. I'm going to double stack this thing. So I'm going to go with the other significant piece of this passing offense, and I'm going to go with Devontae Parker. He's 5,500, like that price. Solid value. Um, he's a guy that in that game, that Week 17 game last year, 14 targets, 7 catches, 116 yards. Granted, Tre'Davious White was out for that game, but I mean that's still impressive nonetheless. And I think the first matchup against the Bills last year with Tre'Davious White, he went like 555 and one, which if he can get in the end zone, we'll take that. So this just comes down to volume to me. If I'm playing a quarterback, most of the time in these lineups, I'm going to try to double stack them. And if I'm predicting that the Bills are going to force a shootout, force negative game script, then I'm going to be predicting that Tua is going to throw the ball 40 plus times in this game. And so to get these two guys, I think they get half of those at the very least, if not more. So I'm locking in 20 of his targets, potentially. So I like being able to do that, and I like being able to do that on the cheap end of things. So got that double stack, so I'm good there. Now, of course, I have to run it back, and the best possible vehicle to push this game to the heights that I needed to be pushed to is Steph Diggs. Steph Diggs, so we're gonna go ahead and plug him in. 7,700. Steph Diggs, 14 targets last week. Just elite usage for Steph Diggs. And again, people always say tell a story with your lineup. Well, we're telling the story. We need um, drop backs from Tua in this Dolphins offense. So um, there's no better way for that to happen than to see Steph Diggs go off. So you're definitely going to plug Steph Diggs into this lineup. So that's about all I'm gonna do here with this. In this style of a tournament. Now, if I was playing in a smaller field kind of tournament, and wanted to go more in on this game, with less entries and things of that nature, I would plug in Cole Beasley. It looks like he's at 4,600 here. A guy that's going to get heavy targets every week. I could go on the other side and I could go Gasicki. Gasicki is super volatile. But if I'm banking on the Dolphins to be forced to pass more, then I could plug Gasicki in there and hope I get a big play or a touchdown, from him. Again, like I said, on the group pod, he's sharing that tight end group with too many guys. But his splash plays are up there with anybody's in the league at that position. He can rip off, a 50-yard touchdown, catch and run. He can sky up over anybody. So, those are the kind of gambles you want to take, in tournaments, and try to get a payout. But not going to go that far with this one. Just the structure of these uh, type of tournaments don't really make for that to be optimal. So I got my receivers here, I got my quarterback. So now I'm gonna try to figure out running back. And since I've kind of gone off the beaten path here with the quarterback and the receivers, I can do some more um, uh, kind of chalkish things here with running back. I've kind of created something where I'm allowed to kind of um, go with some more, optimal approaches. Well, not optimal approach, I shouldn't say. I can go with more. of a popular approach. So first here, I'm gonna plug in Najee Harris. I don't know if you guys have heard this, but Najee Harris played 100% of the snaps last week. Now, if you're deep into fantasy, you've heard that 100 times. So kind of being tongue in cheek when I say that. But I mean, it's a big deal. That's massive. That's uncommon for a back to be a true workhorse in that way. So for me, he didn't put up the box score you wanted to see last week, but he's an easy bounce back target this week. Love that price. The matchup versus the Raiders is a good one. The matchup would stand out even more if the Ravens would have gave Tyson Williams the ball a bit more. Sorry, still a little bit salty about that one, but that is a right matchup that could look even better, if he's fed the way that he possibly could be fed. So love Najee Harris there. With the other running back spot, I'm going to go with a similarly priced player, and he's somebody I alluded to in the group pod as well, and that's Zeke Elliott. I talked about the matchup upgrade this week compared to an awful, brutal, however bad adjective you want to use matchup last week with the Bucks. He's got a good one this week against the Chargers. Not going to be a lot of, um, not going to probably be any in the box snaps for their safeties. Like I said, Brandon Staley is a guy that's going to play. He's going to play the run on the way to the quarterback, and he's going to be in coverage, be in sub package a lot. So again, like Z Elliott, one thing that I didn't mention about the matchup that is a nice additional boost. He should be getting guard Zach Martin back in the lineup this week, which I mean is pretty massive when you talk about the level of player he is. So to get Zach Martin back in there, opening up holes in that running game is going to be huge. So people seem down on Zeke after the performance last week, but the fact that he's so cheap could kind of even things out a bit as far as how much exposure people have to him. So we'll see. But either way, the way the lineup is set up, to start with, it's not something we have to concern ourselves with because we've already went off the beaten path enough. With some of the things that we've done so far. So go ahead and plug Zeke in here at running back. So now we're gonna move along here, and let's see where I want to go with this. So let's go tight end. So tight end, digging in that clearance rack for the one time with my man James O'Shaughnessy or O'Shag Hennessy, however you want to pronounce it. I'm rolling with him this week at 2,700. 8 targets last week. Top five in routes run at the position. And I expect the Jazz to be playing from behind again in this one. Now maybe the Broncos aren't able to, push it into that stratosphere that the Texans did. Just absolutely just smashing the Jags last week. But I mean, we wouldn't have thought the Texans would have been able to do that. So um, just a lot of opportunity for Shaughnessy in this one. Um, at 2,700, it's pretty hard for him to like completely miss here. Really all he needs is a handful of catches, and he's paying that off. But I like his chances of maybe he can sneak in the end zone. But again, at that price, he can definitely pay it off. Pretty easily. Now, would have liked to have tried to find a little more upside at the position, or something that just feels a little bit more of a um, TD type of play because you need touchdowns at the position. And he may bring that. Another guy I like in this range, Tyler Conklin. That Minnesota Arizona game should be popular, and he's a cheap way to kind of get to that. So I mean, he's an option here as well. But like O'Shaughnessy at that price. Coming down here to the flex position, And I'm gonna look to try to exploit the same matchup I did last week with that Titan secondary. They redid that cornerback group, and looking at the snap counts, how they divvied out last week, they're leaning on a lot of guys that really are nickel players in that Titan secondary. And they gave up 2 touchdowns to DeAndre Hopkins last week, and now they're going to face off against a 6'4" behemoth that can run by any of them, and DK Metcalf. So um, love that matchup, and love the potential for him to not be as played this week. He had a bit of a quiet game. He scored a touchdown, but I mean that was more so based off of the coach just never really pushing the envelope enough offensively to force them to have to do it. The Titans, I expect them to bounce back on offense this week, and I expect that in turn to create more drop back opportunities for Seattle in this passing game. So love, DK Metcalf and his upside this week. So let's go ahead and find him on the list here. I think they're towards the bottom. Yeah. So go ahead and plug DK Metcalf in here, and let's close it out with a defense. So guys have been following this. I like to hit that clearance rack on defense, but I'm feeling good today. That direct deposit hit yesterday. I'm feeling a little different, so I'm gonna treat myself this week, and I'm gonna treat myself to Bill Belichick going up against that rookie quarterback special. The Patriots defense, they lost a lot of COVID. I'm sorry, a lot of guys to that COVID opt out last year. Um, got some guys back, got some ascending pass rushers there, and Josh Uchi and Chase Winovich. So I like their chances of being able to create some pressure, especially with Mekhi Becton slated to miss this game. Um, and then just looking at the playing style of the quarterback, it's one thing to be a rookie, but it's also another thing to be the player of the ilk of a Zach Wilson. He's a guy that he's going to try to test limits. He's going to try to touch that fire a few times to see if it's hot. And so hopefully, when he tries to touch that fire, those are plays that turn into defensive touchdowns. And Patriots have shown a history of that over the last couple of years of having a knack into turning um, tip balls and interceptions and forced fumbles into touchdowns. So, I think they have one of the highest upsides at defense of any defense out there this week. I like to go cheap. This is kind of a little uncomfortable for me, but just the way the lineup kind of fell, I opted for this approach. Now you could easily punt at defense and throw another running back in the mix. I prefer to go wide receiver at the flex, but I thought about a Kamara at the flex and then go cheap at defense and throw in like a Vikings defense and hope for a shootout in that game. And I think I may play a variation of that lineup, just to try it out. But I kind of prefer to go more wide receiver in the flex. But going Kamara at the flex, a guy that can catch passes out of the backfield, is an interesting approach. So I think I'm gonna take that approach and try that lineup as well. So urge you to try to do the same. I haven't really looked at the contest yet to see. Maybe they have that $5 millie out there again. I'm not sure, but you could throw this one and that variation into that, or however you want to do it. Whatever your bankroll is looking like. So that's it for this week. Let me go ahead and plug them in so you can see as a whole how the lineup looks. But that's it, man. So that's the lineup for this week. Please be sure to jump in the comments. Let me know what you think. As always, like, subscribe, give us a 5-star rating on all digital streaming platforms, and I will catch you guys next week with another lineup.